The city air was crisp that Saturday. We met freshman year, bonding over a shared hatred of our econ professor and a love for late-night diner runs. She's the kind of friend the moment that changed everything. Emily was mid-sentence, teasing me about my obsession with true crime podcasts, when a The men were cursing, one still rubbing his face, the other limping. I held her tight, my arm around her, ready. Story's just beginning. The city street throbbed with a pulse of its own, a jagged rhythm of sirens and voices that seemed to swallow the air. I stood frozen, my arm locked around Emily. Recording every word. Chris's other friend, a guy I vaguely recognized from a party, was talking to a second officer, his voice low, explaining their plan. A proposal like in the movie. fast. I wanted to hug her, to tell her I'd only acted to keep her safe, but the gap between us felt wider now, like a crack in the earth. The cops took our IDs, told Chris and his friends to step back, and asked me about the pepper spray. I showed them the canister, legal and registered, my hands steady despite the tremor inside. They nodded, said they'd file a report, but no one was being arrested. Not yet. Chris was a mess. When the officers let us talk, he turned to me, his eyes still watering, his voice raw. "You ruined it," he said, each word heavy like stones, dropped into water. "This was supposed to be our moment, Emily's moment, and you turned it into this." He gestured at the cop cars, the crowd, his face a mix of pain and fury. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone." I opened my mouth, but the words caught, tangled in my throat. Embarrassed him? I'd seen my best friend being dragged toward a van, her screams ripping through me. Her later that night, and I heard her side of the conversation from the kitchen, where I was pretending to make tea. He was still upset, saying I'd humiliated him, that the proposal was ruined, that he didn't know how to move forward. Emily's voice was quiet, soothing, but I caught the strain, the way she was trying to hold them both together. When she hung up, she looked at me, her expression a mix of exhaustion and something else. Regret, maybe, or confusion. "He's really hurt," she said. "He planned this for months. He thought I'd love it." I bit my lip, the urge to argue rising. Love it? Being grabbed by masked men? But I saw her face, the way she was grappling with her own fear and Chris's pain, and I stayed quiet. The next day, word spread. Friends texted, asking what happened, some laughing it off, others shocked. A mutual friend, Jess, called me, her voice half amused, half scolding. "You pepper-sprayed Chris? Girl, that's wild." I tried to explain, but she cut me off, saying I should have known Chris's style, that he's always extra. Her words echoed Emily's. Read the room, see, the signs. But the signs weren't there, not in that moment. I kept replaying it. The van's door lost. Their moment, their future, was now a story of chaos, and I was the villain in it. Or was I? The question gnawed at me, and I knew this wasn't over. If you're wondering what came next, if you're feeling the same tangle of guilt and certainty I did, I'll tell you soon. For now, think about this. When does instinct become a mistake? I'd love to know what you'd have done, how you'd carry this weight. Stay with me, because this story's far from done. The train ride home was a blur, the city's lights streaking past like comets, each one a fleeting reminder of the chaos I'd left behind. Emily's apartment, once a haven of laughter and late-night talks, felt like a foreign country now, its air thick with unspoken words. Chris's accusation that I'd ruined their proposal, their moment, echoed in my head, sharp as a blade. Emily's quiet wish that I'd read the room stung even more, a soft cut that lingered. Emily told me about Chris's plan, how he'd spent months designing it, inspired by her love for dramatic movie proposals. He'd rented the van, recruited his friends, even picked a park with a view for the ring moment. She admitted it wasn't her style. She'd have preferred something quieter, a walk, a simple question. But she loved him for trying. She was still shaken, not just by the prank, but by how real it felt. How her own fear had mirrored mine. Hearing her say that, I felt a flicker of relief. I wasn't alone in that terror, even if the aftermath had split us. Chris was another story. Emily said he was still angry, nursing his pride as much as his eyes, which had recovered but left him wary. He'd told her he felt humiliated, that the proposal was supposed to be a story they'd tell forever. not a scene on someone's phone shared with strangers. I understood his hurt, but it sparked something in me, a flash of anger. Humiliated? I'd been terrified, acting on instinct to protect my friend. If he'd chosen a less reckless plan, if he'd considered how it might look, none of this would have happened. But I kept that to myself, knowing it wouldn't help Emily. I sent Chris a text a few days later, short but honest. "I'm sorry for how it went down. I thought Emily was in danger. I'd never hurt you on purpose." He didn't reply, but Emily told me he'd read it, that he was cooling off. I didn't expect forgiveness, not yet, but I hoped he'd see my side, even a little. Friends kept texting, some joking about my hero moment, others saying I should have known Chris's flair for drama. Their words stung, each one a reminder that I was being judged for a split-second choice. I started to doubt myself, wondering if I'd been too quick, too panicked. But then I'd remember Emily's scream, the way her coat slipped as they pulled her, and I'd know I couldn't have done anything else. Weeks passed, and Emily and I found a fragile rhythm. We texted, called, even laughed a little, though it wasn't the same. 100 times if I could have paused, looked closer, seen the prank for what it was. Maybe. But in that moment, with her scream in my ears, there was no maybe. There was only her. I'm still navigating this, figuring out how to carry the weight of a choice that was right and wrong all at once. Emily and I are finding our way, step by step, and I hope Chris will too. For now, I hold on to the truth. I'd fight for her again, even if it breaks something. If you've ever made a choice that saved someone but cost you, if you felt that tangle of love and regret, I'd love to hear how you moved through it. This story's mine, but it's not the end, just a pause, until the next moment tests me.